Assisted suicide. It's a phrase now heard quite frequently in the news. It's even become legalized in some of the United States: Colorado, Hawaii, California, Oregon, Vermont, District of Columbia, and Montana, to name them. It is mandated by court in Montana and by state law in all the other states named. According to CNN, the specific method in each state varies, but mainly involves a prescription from a licensed physician approved by the state in which the patient is a resident. To some people, physician-assisted suicide is different than euthanasia, because euthanasia is defined as assisting people with their death so that their suffering ends. However, it doesn't have the backing of a controlling legal authority. So yes, they are two different acts, but the end goal is the same: death. Euphemisms such as death with dignity and aid in dying seek to hide the important truth of the matter. Suicide shouldn't be an option to consider when terminally ill or disabled. It's not a medical care that should be taken care of in any way. Taking away any religious reasons, there are many reasons why this act should not be legalized in more states or in any at all. For the purpose of the speech, I'll give 3 main points as to why this act is wrong. For starters, it's very easy to abuse this law once it's put in place because of how the assisted suicide is done. In an article from Focus on the Family, it is stated that after the deadly prescription is given to the patient, there is no regulation whatsoever as to what happens next. For example, if there is a third party involved who could benefit from the patient's death, they could give the patient the drug even if the patient has changed his or her mind about their decision. There are no laws requiring any type of consent at the actual time of death, and that is wrong. The only consent needed is to get the prescription drug in the first place. This causes a loophole where someone other than the patient can decide when death will happen. This leaves the patient in a fragile position if something like this occurred. Second, physician-assisted suicide crosses the line between caring and killing. It's not like letting someone go. This is a physical act in order to die. It requires a doctor, a pharmacist, and a state. It is a very public act. It requires medicine and law. According to the Heritage Foundation, no one, not even a doctor, should ever be allowed to kill intentionally or assist in killing intentionally. Human lives don't need to be extended by every means possible, however. That doesn't mean that humans should ever be intentionally killed. The doctors can care enough to help their patients die a dignified death, but through natural causes, rather than crossing the line and assisting them in suicide. Doctors' purposes are to improve quality of life or to help in making death by natural causes easy, not to assist in making death happen. They can't decide to play God and help people choose death instead of seeing what life can offer them. Lastly, physician-assisted suicide sends a message that some lives are not worth living anymore. It discriminates against disability, which is the exact opposite of what our society is all about. This act and the doctors participating in it start to view the elderly or disabled as a problem instead of as human beings. Just this small fact could hurt our culture forever. Every human being has an intrinsic dignity and worth. Not one person is better than the other, even when terminally ill or disabled. The laws in our country need to respect that fact. Allowing people to be killed by the law violates everything about our nation's bold statements about equality. In conclusion, the United States needs to stop legalizing this act in other states before it goes too far. We as a nation need to respond. Our response should be one of compassion towards the people considering this as an option in life. These patients aren't numbers. They're human beings who are being convinced that death is the better option. These patients usually have mental illnesses to go along with everything, which can cloud their perspective on life. We should be giving these patients better medical attention instead of offering a drug to end their life and make it easier. It should be in our human dignity to realize that it is intrinsically wrong. Overall, physician-assisted suicide should be put to an end because the law can be abused, it crosses the medical line, and it discriminates against disability.